Hello YouTube, Jonathan800 here. I haven't really played a Trotsky game since No Step Back came out and knew he was famous for his instant coups in the past. However, to do instant coups, I had to turn off law resistance, so I decided to turn off all the paid DLC and see how it goes with a YouTube poll. I did the Lend-Lease cheese to get into power much more easily, but I believe I did a goof as I couldn't move the entire stockpile over. This didn't cause too many issues though, and Stalin's forces could not counter the cavalry spam. After taking power, Soviet forces went back to Spain to eliminate the nationalists. As usual, my strategy is to cut off the south, clear it up, and deal with the north. A funny thing with our DLC is that the Germans and Italians, and Soviets too, will constantly send volunteers to refresh any losses, which can make you weaken them even more. Afterwards, Finland was taken care of, and with NKVD primacy and Trotsky's traits, insta-coups should be available. The game, however, has a bug where if coups cause less than 0 political power, it will not fire because it cannot reach 0 out of 0 political power, as it can never go back to 0. With this realization, I got a bit saddened and thought all hope was lost for funny Trotsky moments. The Germans conducted Operation Barbarossa, and the Trotsky line, or the Molotov line if you didn't go down left opposition, did not work all that well. The Germans took very high casualties, but possibly because I had over 60 troops in reserve at the Stalin line, the Trotsky line broke. Even my Meta 42 with tanks could not stop the blows as air was contested. This could also be because the Germans had hundreds and hundreds of divisions compared to my less than 100 on the front lines. Eventually, the Germans did stop with the Riga line stopping them in the north, the marshes in the center, and a river in the south. Hungary did never join the war either, which was a surprise, but that meant less troops to deal with. After falling back, it was then time to push forwards. Multiple offensives weakened the Germans. One of them would pave the way for the liberation of Lithuania and allowed us to push to Danzig. Another one would be a push from East Prussia and center to encircle a ton of troops in Belarus, and that was surprisingly successful with over 60 troops and over 500,000 manpower getting encircled. The Axis was made so weak due to that encirclement, and another from Romania getting cut off by the Hungarian border, where I could just battle plan to win. The Soviets then managed to liberate the Netherlands and Danish before the Germans surrendered. The Italians soon surrendered with the entire Soviet army rolling down south to greet them. This is where I originally planned to end the video, but where is the world revolution? In order to do this, we had to demote Trotsky to put the Supreme Soviet in charge. Now we could get coups that only cost 80 political power, but sadly not free. Coups were then organized in the US, UK, and France, and on the 24th of April 1945, the World Revolution ignited with the West Coast, Wales, and Calais being the birthplace of new revolutions. The Soviets quickly accepted the new revolutionaries into the Fourth Internationale and fought alongside their comrades in eliminating the corrupt bourgeoisie governments. The Brussels Treaty was signed earlier, which meant many potential flanks were covered by the countries no longer being in the Allies. Soviet troops then blitzed through France and aided the British with an infantry army and air support. An entire army group was later sent to aid the American revolutionaries on the west coast with more air support. First, France was the first to be liberated, along with the Swiss. Then the British. Progress in the Rockies was slow, so the Soviets conducted a naval invasion of New York with great success. The Americans were so unprepared where battle planning was a viable option to defeat them. Eventually, the West fell with new communist governments taking their place. The Supreme Soviet was happy of their success only to hear that Japan then decided to invade the East Indies. This wasn't too much of a threat as they had no army, but they still had a large navy. No by blood alone meant I couldn't steal any navies, so there was no naval invading the Japanese. There was, however, a coup set up. The Japanese revolutionaries, with help from Soviet troops, liberated their country from the last of its imperial ways. With the conflict over, every major country in the world was now controlled by the workers. Thanks for watching, be sure to like and subscribe, you know the deal, and this is Jonathan 800 signing out.